Hi. So I have a very interesting story to tell. Some years ago when I was back in school, we stayed in a room that was known as a fellowship secretariat. So many of you who were in schools, particularly where we had Christian unions, right? You knew that that several fellowships had different rooms that they used for secretariat if it was allowed inside the school. So we had one, right? And inside that room, it was just my fellowship members that stayed there. Then one day, this young man comes and he comes to meet some of us, and I was one of the leaders then. So he met us. I was like, okay, that he is looking for accommodation. He came to school, like he doesn't have accommodation, that kind of stuff. And because we have a principle of helping newcomers, right, people coming to our fellowship to host them, or people that we don't even know, just give them accommodations. This particular story was very interesting. So this is what happened. After some deliberation, we decided to let this young man in, and this young man came and started staying with us. But something was out of place. So as expected, right, when you come to a place and someone is hosting you, you adapt to the person's rules and terms of staying there. But this young man was not ready to adapt at all. For example, it's expected that when we're going to fellowship, you follow us to fellowship, since you're staying with us. But this gentleman wasn't attending our activities, didn't care, our weekly activities and weekend activities and all that. So sometimes we called him, like, talk to him and all that. But he didn't just care, right? For him, okay, I've got a place to stay and come on, they are church people, there's nothing they're going to do about it. So after a while, we kind of found that this was risky because someone who had that kind of mindset would maybe someday you wake up and then you find out that a lot of properties, a lot of items, gadgets will be missing. So we had to deliberate, and we called the young man and told him, since you came here, you don't want to abide by our terms and conditions, I think we can't actually keep hosting you. And he was like, but at the end, we had to like vacate him from the place. And he was annoyed, when he saw us, to like wear an angry face and all that, but we didn't care because we were protecting something so important to us, and that was protecting the rules and regulations of where we stayed, which was our secretariat. Now let me come to the message I want to pass here. A lot of us, we have our spaces, and we don't want people to come there and bring their own tents to our own spaces. We want them to come. If they're going to come and actually submit to the terms of our space that's guarding our space that we've set for ourselves, because it is our space, we own it, and they are visitors. But when we actually move to someone else's space, we still want to move with our own terms and conditions. Talking about someone, there's someone who ultimately owns a lot. In fact, he owns everything, right? And he has made his own space, and he has set his own rules and regulations. And he has said, if you're going to come to where I am, you're going to keep to my terms and conditions. I don't want you to carry over all those things you were doing in your own space, things that are acceptable there. If you're coming over to my place, you're going to change, you're going to adapt. And we feel like, oh, why is it too much? It's too much rules and regulations and all that. But come on, is it? If I come to your house and I come with all the baggages, bags and all that stuff, drop my bag here, there, and that, and I tell you that, come on, it's freedom and all that, will you like it? That's the same thing that God expects of us when we come to Him. Now we know that this world is temporary. If you don't know, please know this world is temporary. Of course, every one of us, we're either going to die or leave this world one way or the other. And when you live here, it's going to be another world, whether you like it or not. And God has His own world over there. And He said, if you're going to come to my space, I have terms and conditions. And my terms and conditions are holiness and righteousness, right? In other words, righteousness of God. And the only way we can meet up to God's righteousness is by wearing the righteousness of Christ. That is what we get when we give our lives to Christ, and then we submit to the grace of God in our lives. But here is the problem. A lot of Christians or professing Christians who have accepted Christ, or so to say they have accepted Christ, when they come into Christ, they want to keep the baggages of old, right? They want to keep the things of old. All right, let's say you keep them here on earth. But when you want to come to God's abode, God doesn't want you to come with all those baggages of envy, of lust, of seduction. God doesn't want you to come with all those baggages of immorality, those baggages of unforgiveness, of rancor, and all those things that you can deal with here and give excuses for them. Because if you come to a perfect place, being imperfect, you will ruin the perfection. And let me tell you how this works, right? If you come to a place that's perfect and you're imperfect, you will start finding fault immediately because why is everyone pretending? You'd be like, come on, everyone is just pretending. There's no way that everything is perfect here. But come on, you are the imperfect person and you've come to ruin the perfection of the place. So please, know this. If you want to enter God's abode, you must do so in His terms and conditions, not yours. All those things you do here on earth, they make sense to you, right? But also, God's terms and conditions make absolute sense to Him. And He's not going to compromise because of you. So please don't be deceived by those who tell you that the righteousness of Christ is like a facade, right? A facade so much that you are still yourself with all your sins and debts. You're still wearing them, putting them on. And then Christ is like covering you like a facade, right? And people can't really see who you are, but they see Christ. God can see through, He sees who you are, right? Righteousness of Christ is not meant to keep you the way you are. It's meant to transform you and make you God-like. Read the book of Titus chapter 2, verse 11 to 14, and you understand what I'm saying. I pray that God gives us the grace that we be not wise in our own conceits and foolish in the ways of God. Thank you. That's all my story.